Welcome to Podcast with Maknyoni. Today is a special edition. Why is it special? It's because I have the first person who's not an artist. Because I had a lot of people have been asking, you're always bringing artists. It sounds like you're a DJ or you're just working in the creative space only and you're not talking about other things. But I talk about so many things. And today is a special edition because I have a guest who is a guru in the space. Welcome, Amakhosi.
Thank you so much.
So today is about development. We'll talk about some serious topics. But of course, we'll make it interesting so that at least we kind of understand what is happening specifically to Malawi when it comes to the development trajectory and what can we do to change the course, the way things are now, or probably they have been for a long time. So welcome to this show, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I think everything around you, I've known you for some time, but I think what comes in my mind is that I knew that we were together at school, but not in the same year, or probably I came in later. But you have been a voice in the CSO space. What has been the journey like for you to come from Zuni to come in the CSO space?
Wow. Thank you so much for having me, Maknyoni, today. I'm also excited that I'm speaking to you today about this, and quite interesting because also knowing you back then and then seeing what you're doing is quite amazing.
Cool,
keep
man.
it up.
It's grace, man. It's grace.
Yeah, surely. So I think basically it has been quite an interesting journey for me, moving from Mzuzu University and then occupying this space, what we call the world, and then also defining a career trajectory to say that this is what I'll be doing. I think for me it has been a blend of passion, but also motivation that drives to see impact. That's what has been key for me.
Yeah.
Basically, after doing my BSES, that's Bachelor of Science, Environmental Science, specializing in renewable energy technologies from Mzuzu University, I moved on. I picked a job immediately with the government of Malawi as a police officer at the Department of Energy Affairs.
Okay.
Many don't know about it because I didn't stay there. Immediately I moved. I think within the first 3 months. For me, I treated that kind of an attachment just to prepare me for the industry.
Yeah.
And then I joined Catholic Relief Services under the WALA program in Blantyre. I was supporting their agribusiness interventions.
Okay.
Interventions basically looking at development of the trolling manuals that we were taking them to farmers. The whole idea was to put forward the concept of collective marketing. Okay. Whereby you have farmers producing, harvesting, aggregating, and then selling in bulk. So that you should have the many benefits of selling in bulk.
Interesting. So you remove the middlemen and the stuff.
Exactly. Okay. So we've been empowering, capacitating farmers as a structure themselves to secure that, number one, they are producing according to what is required in terms of production. Yeah. Number two, they are producing for the market. Okay. Number three, they are producing also to maintain the levels of food self-sustenance. Interesting. That speaks to food security at household, but also moving to community, district, and then national level. Although, as a country, still we have not been achieving. Yeah. I know we'll come to that. Yeah. And then I moved on. I joined the ActionAid International under the Climate Change and Agriculture Resilience Program. Okay. Then I moved to Sanje. They had this other motto is getting closer to poverty. Okay. So I moved closer to poverty in their thinking, whereby I was posted to Sanje. Okay. I supported Malema Gabu partners in the Enhancing Community Resilience Program. It was a big, then DFID, now FCDO, Irish Aid and the Royal Norwegian Embassy funded program. Okay. I stayed there for 18 months. I believed I had contributed fairly to the shaping of the program.
Yeah, 18 months is a lot.
Exactly, that was developed already. And then I moved on to join VSO International as a program coordinator in our Live Roots program. Then become a senior program manager in the Live Roots program.
Wow.
Contributed quite a lot, I think, in many Live Roots indicators as defined by VSO, looking at the issue of, I think, legal regulatory framework that governs, for example, working in the dairy industry.
Yeah.
So there was one act of the Milk and Milk Products Act of 1978, a very reparative act that was restricting dairy farmers from selling fresh milk in the major cities of Blantyre, Lilongwe, Mzuzu, and Zomba.
Okay.
To say that they can only sell for milk processors. So it was in a way of determining where they should sell their products, and the milk processors were also determining prices for the farmers.
That's the thing.
They were losing the value.
Yeah.
I'm highlighting that of the many projects I worked under VSO because for me it was a tractable project I worked on.
Okay.
It had a connection to the people. You are working for you are pushing for a policy review that will directly impact on the lives and the livelihoods of the people.
Yeah, true.
And we succeeded with that one. And I moved on. I joined FHI International later as a country manager for the Live Roads and Food Security Technical Assistance number 2. Basically, this technical assistant was a quite interesting one in the sense to say that it had the livelihoods in it, agriculture and economic development, financial inclusion issues in it, trade, but it was answering to indicators of PEPFAR. PEPFAR is one USAID HIV and AIDS health management program.
Okay.
So they were looking at how issues of livelihoods, food security, economic access does affect adherence and retention to ART. Asking a very big research question of if one needs to receive medication or is on ART, but needs transport for him to access the medication. Yeah. Will they return on medication, or they will just say, I have got other problems,
other issues?
Why don't I take the money and fix those issues? So we put in an interesting project in Baraka, Kasungu, Karonga, and Lilongwe. The initial project design followed another model, and when when I joined in and with the team, I think we developed a country contextualized model that spoke and I think gave us results in the project. Okay. Further, I moved and I joined DAP, Malawi Development Aid from People to People.
Oh man, you've been around.
I've been around, and I'm telling you. And just also to mention, quite significant to say that along the way I've been working, I think with personal and also networks to support many other various social enterprises that we've been developing and working on. On a personal level, I've been pushing quite a lot of businesses that were complementing my income so that I can have multiple streams of income and secure the appetite of the needs that I have within my household with my beautiful wife and kids now. Okay. Surely. So basically it has been that, and then further I joined the Tilitonse Foundation. Yeah, because I think I knew you from the Tilitonse space. Yes, so I joined Tilitonse Foundation. Basically, when it was a program, graduating, going into the foundation, I supported them in the governance grants programming, capacity development, partnership development in that space going forward. And more recently, I've been supporting Malawi government in another capacity, but also looking specifically at the issues of local government and how this feeding into the public reform sector. So I quite broadened it and made it a little bit detailed.
Yeah.
Just to, because it departs from where I can respond. I can respond it from an interview.
Yeah.
But I just made it broad because it should be able to give in the detail.
Yeah, I think it does. It does give me the details. And I think it highlights the importance of the conversation. Because from what you have done, you started with the government, you're with the government now, but in between here, you have worked with so many organizations.
Yes.
And I think that takes me to the first question that I have, which is, we have so many organizations in Malawi. So many of them. Might be even in 1,000 if we count them in numbers. These organizations have money.
Yes.
They have money. Beyond Malawi culture as well. Because they're international and they're local organizations. And there are even some of them who are downstream there.
Yes.
There's money moving from top down, sometimes down, up. Because of bribes and stuff. Why is Malawi so poor? But we have so many organizations with money. Is that the CSOs are failing? What is it?
I would take that question in 3 aspects.
Okay.
I'll make a contribution in 3 aspects.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm not bringing you answers, but I'm contributing in the space.
Yeah.
The first aspect I would say that is anything rises and falls around the mind. That's why it is quite interesting if you read Malawi 63.
Yeah.
2063 is talking to mindset change as one of the key enablers. That is going to help us achieve the 3. I must say for the first time as a country, we have made a pragmatic approach. We have taken a pragmatic approach towards addressing developmental challenges that we have in the framework that we have crafted. I think for me it goes beyond just writing and making it an academic process. But I think it brings also the practical actions that we would want to undertake as a country. And in it, by setting aside or by establishing the National Planning Commission, it speaks volumes of the intent that government has to secure that framework is not just crafted and is sitting somewhere, but it is operationalized.
At least there's a commission now.
There is a commission. And if you have been privileged to sit in the spaces that I sit sometimes, you would agree with me to say that the commission has been on the ground and it is working.
I've seen it. I've been involved, not directly, but I've seen activities on the ground where they are actually doing activities on the ground. I think I spoke to them my previous role as well, and I know that there are really people that are on the ground.
Sure, so you would find them that they are responding to things. They are responsive. They are not just attending to meetings, but they are participating in meetings.
They're engaging.
For me, meetings are strategic platforms where you make contributions, you get feedback, you learn, and you can now synthesize things going forward. So it is from the mindset, number 1. So we need to address the mindset.
Where are you in the mindset? You say people have argued. Yes, mindset. But these organizations that are pushing for the mindset change, are they changed in their mind? The people that are leading these things.
They are not. And I will still come back to mindset. In the sense to say that, a lot of notion around it, a lot of narrative that has gone around mindset change, it's academic in nature. We have never had a practical aspect of mindset change in Malawi. And it is so dangerous, and dangerous in the sense to say that it is something that we have added in our development framework, but we don't have the practical aspect of it. And that makes it so dangerous. I would give you a very governance example because it's my area of comfort. I would give you a governance example that Uganda as a country, although they are perceived in courts to be autocratic, because that has to be proven in another platform. Whether they are autocratic or not.
That's an argument.
Yes, surely. So, but they have got these these exciting institutions that they have established within their dispensation of governance in the country.
Yeah.
For example, they have got the National Institution for Integrity and Ethics.
Okay.
This is a higher level institution that looks at issues of integrity and ethics.
Very
no
important.
matter how autocratic the country might be, but issues of ethics and integrity are considered highly. That's where we have the operational side of mindset change. We are not just talking. It's not rhetoric. It moves. It becomes practical.
That's very true.
So it cuts across even in these organizations. I would tell you most of the organizations that are having money in Malawi, they have got leadership that they have got the ownership syndrome in it.
The organization is not is more like a business for someone.
Exactly.
That organization is owned by someone.
Exactly.
And these people are advocating for mindset change in terms of people being democratic, leaving post, allowing other people to take post. Well, these people have been in those posts for 30, 40 years.
40 years.
And they're telling someone in government, just stay for 5 years. What happens? That's why I'm like, when you talk about mindset change, it's most of the times it feels like it's a top-down approach. There's nothing like...
Yes, indeed, it is. That's why I'm saying it's an academic process still in Malawi. We haven't moved it to become an operational issue. It is not in someone in Intalire. It is not in someone in my home district in Mkulu, in Edingen. It is not. It is not.
But also, people are never held accountable when it comes to issues to do with with mindset, because I will just share an example. If you look at what happens here, people in Malawi would a politician or someone would come out and would speak anything to the populace, right? Would speak anything or would make any blunder. Tomorrow people have forgotten about it. People are moving on because their mindset is like, this is what's supposed to be. We haven't defined the ethical and the expectation of what is ours and what it defines us in a way. Yeah, sure.
Actually, just saying it as it is, and it's perfectly in that way. And when I had mentioned this point to you, direct from on top of my head, it was building to my second point. Surely to say that you do see that even the civic space, the civic space is dominated by organizations than people themselves. So you are asking about money that has trickled down, has gone down to organizations, but not to people.
Not to people.
Because
people are still the same. People are still poor in Malawi.
By the academic or scientific definition of a civic space is the space of the people. So this is so when we talk about civic space in Malawi, even in the world of government, would be the civil society organizations. No, these are just mobilizers. They're just their role is just to mobilize people, bring them together, give them a voice. And then they should add the voice to whatsoever they should be doing. So you will find that remains detached. And those who are learned and who understands the business within the civil society organizations, they have dangerously done it in that manner so that they cannot have a person who is living in the rural area not to understand what is his. Malawi is predominantly a rural-based country. We have got more people living in the rural area
than in towns.
Exactly.
Right?
Our development thinking is rural per se, but the things that matter are not rural per se. We should be starting from urban going into the rural. We would have been helping people. And that comes to my second point. My second point is do people know what they're supposed to be doing with the money that is coming in? When aid is being negotiated, it's negotiated on behalf of people. It's not negotiated on organizations. So you would find, for example, most of these big institutions, if you are receiving aid from Britain, you have a lot of British organizations in Malawi.
It will happen like that. And that's an interesting area to look at, because if you're getting a lot of aid from the US, you're going to get a lot of US organizations.
In Malawi.
If you talk EU, You
have,
expect
you
a
know,
lot of EU organizations working in Malawi. And if you look at how money flows in the development space, that's where the confusion comes in now. Because money is strangely negotiated at this space. When you look at the capacity builders, right? Organizations that sit on the top, get the money and feed it to organizations on the ground, you find that these capacity builders here, they are the ones that are milking the money that was destined for the people on the ground.
Exactly.
I'm sorry to say this, but it's painful to see.
It is what it is. And if Malawi is ever going to move from asking this question you have asked me, it is now a scenario whereby we have to speak the truth as it is.
It is, yeah.
And we have to demand that truth. And we have to operate within the confinements of that truth.
True.
So it is that. And you would learn to say that now these big organizations are receiving money on behalf of Malawians. And the Malawians now, as you have also pointed out, to say that we do negotiate these grants in a very strange way.
Very strange way.
Very strange way, in the sense to say that I think we are excited to sign and to mention big figures that we are receiving.
Yeah.
But if you are going to calculate the resources that really trickle down to the people, and work for the people, you would find that those kind of resources don't really trickle down to the people.
They don't.
So their development approaches or channels that we have selected as my number 2 point, that doesn't speak or that doesn't conform to development. Malawi as a democracy, 1994, we have adopted decentralization, devolution as a process of securing that roles and responsibilities of the state have devolved and they are working and they are functioning for the people so that we can improve on service delivery. Because when you say that we are so poor in your question, we are meaning that we don't have services at the remotest areas. So when we adopted the decentralization and formed the policy in 1998, we were conforming to the principles of democracy. And when we did that, what we crafted in our policy, if we had operationalized it, if we had guidelines that were implementing that, we would have been talking of a different story by now.
The question is always why we have very good policies. We have very good conversations, right? In boardrooms, I've been in meetings, you have been in meetings, you know the top level thinking that people have in this country. But when it comes to that operationalization of a particular thought process, that's where you find the blocks there. But my question, of course, wasn't talking about the governance of the country. Mine was specifically around the
resources that are trickling down and in
the poverty. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
I've seen goats being shared around. I've seen chickens being sent to different to orphans, right? Cows, right? Being sent, money being given from left, right, and center. But the question is always, why are we still going down?
Number one, I think I alluded already to say that we have got a space that is populated with people who are there to serve their interests. They are not there to serve the interests of the people. The civic space, the civil society organizations that are protecting the space, they don't speak to the needs of the people. Rather, they can pitch it on a project winning stage. But on the actual implementation of it becomes a problem. Now the monitoring of those institutions, it is weak, it's incoherent, it's not there. And rather, instead of the NGO body coming up with a policy that would look into that rigorously, but they are now just focusing on how they can further frustrate the space. And it departs from the point whereby we would think that what we're doing can contribute to the development discourse of the country. Number two is when I'm talking about issues The frameworks that we adopt as a country, decentralization, do we have it? We would have
a practical decentralization.
It is not there. That's why with the review, we want just to scrub it off and do an overhaul of the whole policy and start all over again. Because it does not speak to what it wanted to intend or to achieve or intend.
True.
And then finally on the third level, this is the technical level now. On the technical level, it would still speak to government. There are weak negotiation. There are weak enforcements.
Yeah. Weak enforcement.
Weak negotiations.
When it comes to the direct implementation on the ground.
Long investments. They are still talking about aid. I'm wondering, even in this current regime, not being political, but this current regime is still negotiating the resumption of budgetary support. Should we be talking about that in this day and age? Shouldn't we be thinking about maximum productivity of an economy? McDonald recently, we've just experienced devaluation of the kwacha.
Yes.
And that has brought in a lot of comments from various people.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in the field, but I follow development in the country. What is key? What is evident? What is there? Number one is that Malawi does not produce.
That's a big issue.
We are a predominantly consuming country.
We don't,
which is preaching production.
Yeah.
I would not want to tackle in a lot of the flip side of it, because I think it cuts on the political side.
Yeah.
Not that I'm afraid, but it is just a decision I've made not to.
Yeah.
I would tell you that if we were producing country at whatever level, we should have been talking about other things by now.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be grappling with an issue, a small issue like cooking oil. Yeah. We produce groundnuts. We produce oil seeds in Malawi. We produce groundnuts.
Yeah.
We produce soybeans.
Yes.
We produce sunflower. When I traveled this other day to Mchinji,
yeah,
I found a guy. He's got a small presser. He's pressing oil, cooking oil, vegetable oil from soy.
On his own.
Like,
so I can't wait for.
And what he charges is the cost of pressing, and you bring your own soy. So them being predominantly farmers of oil seeds in Nchinji. So instead of them buying, they'll just take a half bag of soy. They'll go there and press a percentage of oil and go back. But you know what happens now? What was needed now? If our decentralization was functional, now you should listen to me while I mentioned it.
Yes.
If our decentralization was functional, it means the district agriculture office
could have picked this person.
It means the district trade office.
Yeah.
It means the district industry office would have picked this and looked at him at whatever scale they can support him to be producing.
Yes.
And you should be producing for Nchinji. And it means Nchinji stops relying on depending on the center. Now they are producing. And you know what happens?
Yeah.
Whatever money Nchinji was spending that was coming to the center now stays in Nchinji. It adds to the production levels of Nchinji. It adds to the availability of income, whether disposable or real income for investment to Nchinji. It also adds to jobs that they have been preaching about. The leftovers for that, you can use it for processing and making animal feed. That's why I was mentioning agriculture.
Yeah.
So you also think about how does the Bureau of Standards go there to control the issues of standards? How does now manufacturers of bottles go there to produce sustainable bottles that you can be packaging to be selling for Nchinji?
Amazing. You have gone to quickly to some of the questions that I was supposed to ask you, but I think let's talk about it. Because when you think about development,
yes,
right, in Malawi,
yes,
development in Malawi needs a lot of tech. You are talking about we are a consuming country,
yes,
than a producing country,
yes.
And I think if we are to produce something, we produce it at a small scale, and that's why most of the programs, smallholder farmers, small scale, whatever. It doesn't go to people because there are not many that are doing things at a larger scale. How can we leverage technology as Malawi to now transform the little that we have and scale it so that we can compete at global scale? Technology in this context might mean take from codes or whatever, but also machinery in a way.
Yeah, I will cluster my response also in 2 levels. I would start from the grassroots level.
Yeah,
it's I think number 1, we should build deliberate policy, and like just enhancing our legal and legislative environment.
Yeah,
we tend to say that we have got an environment that is good in terms of legal and legislative, but I would also beg to differ in the sense to say that most of our laws does not speak to development. AI, artificial intelligence, is something that is on an exponential rise everywhere. And every country we can pick, even in Africa, that is seemingly developing as compared to ours. I'll tell you, my brother, that country is advanced in AI. Artificial intelligence. So at the grassroots level, let's develop policies that would help upcoming players like yourself. I'm sitting in your studio here today. There is little or no government involvement in these studios. Zero is a personal initiative. Seizing an opportunity and going after an opportunity, really leveraging an opportunity and going after it, and building from the scratch with some of not conducive conditions also. You would find that you paid a lot of money in terms of import duty for this machinery to come into the country. In this day and age, should we be still talking about just importing? Can't we be thinking about how can Malawi think about producing their own equipment? At that level.
That's the thing.
And we've got, I will tell you, Max, sorry, I'll talk again. We've got people who are capable. If you are able to come up with this intervention initiative, you are employing people here. You are not alone. You are creating space. You are creating opportunities even for people to understand some other things and seize them as business opportunities. So there is another level. We're talking of the level of, for instance, development, research and development. I was sharing with you in another platform to say what I did in the university. This is what I'm doing in life. The things that I developed in the university by the aid of God and then by the aid of my supervisors, and the things that I'm doing in actual life are different. There is a departure. So you will find that which university in Malawi is producing graduates that can build AI equipment and instruments.
Apart from those ones doing those small projects on their own. Not supported, because when they're working on their own, they can't scale that. That's where the challenge is.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm really focusing on this. There are pockets of innovations. There are pockets of people leveraging technology from so many places.
It's scattered and you cannot quantify it for the country.
You see?
Because it is just too scattered. You cannot build a sample from which you can draw your conclusion from. You can't build a sample from which you can draw your conclusion from. But you do find that in the universities, our Alumni Mzuzu University has got a department in ICT. A whole department in ICT. They built it after University of Malawi had their own. What new things did they build in that department?
What projects have they supported that have really gone from just a project, a student project, to scale into something that can be used in Malawi?
Did we ever hear a student building a microphone from that department?
Of course, I know some students who developed a search engine, right?
Yes, but if it never went far. But from that, what did we develop from it? And the university has got a whole department of research and development. So we wanted to have tractable research, whereby a company, a tech company, or a company, or an investor like Amakhosi Jere would say that I'm going for it. I'm gonna build from this microphone that you have built. I'm gonna develop it. And we're going to build a brand that is Malawian brand. Do you know that there are brands that are being built in Tanzania now? There are solar panels. Wow. Do you know that's just a semiconductor diode?
That everyone will do.
It's just a semiconductor diode that is attracting and concentrating light in one place and converting the disband energy and light into electro energy and giving you light. And in this day and age, we are still having blackouts for even up to 36 hours.
And you are failing to get these panels because they're expensive, because they're being imported. Yeah.
And the only thing that government can do is to remove duty on it. But what about the development aspect of it? If you remove import duty on it, what it means is that we're just growing our trade deficit. Because we're importing even more. We're encouraging people to import even more. And the capital gains for government in the imports are now removed because we have removed the duty. And you make people poorer from that. Why can't you work with people to produce this for your own? And Mzuzu University has got the whole center, test and training center for renewable energy technologies. That's the center that produced some of us.
Yeah.
It's the whole center, and they have got laboratories that can work to build these things.
What I'm getting from you is that we have a dysfunctional systems.
If the functions doesn't work.
Dysfunctional systems, I would center from these departments that are supposed to do work. I know people, every time we talk about dysfunctional systems, we always look at the political government.
No.
But I look at people in their own entities and in things that they're being trusted with. If a principal is being trusted with a university, they are supposed to do something with that university.
Yes.
If someone, you are head of department, you are entrusted with that department to come up with innovations that can scale in that department. If someone is a DC running a district, they have a responsibility towards that district. If it is dysfunctional, yes, you can attribute it to the bigger authority. But do we see now where they sometimes now that the mindset you're talking about would now trickle down to everyone now?
Exactly.
That they just look at, maybe the government will do this.
Exactly.
Someone will say about this. But people don't now move on that on to really organize these smaller units so that they can scale.
It's exactly that, Mark, and I don't know how to put it any better than the way you have, because let me tell you to say that's why I think we mentioned about mindset change from the word go.
Yeah.
To say that if we get the practical side of it, Mark, we will have 80% progress, because it is that what you're saying, and it also speaks to leadership. I'm telling you the best way to lead in the career trajectory, even in the business aspect of it. The best way to lead McDonald's is leading by following. People would always associate leadership with you being on top. But leading by following will give us exact results to what you are speaking to.
True.
Because it is from those units that forms the department. When they get it right, they are going to contribute to the organization success. When the organization, there is organization success, is going to contribute to country success.
But true. And we need technology for us to go further.
We need tech.
We need systems that are working.
There is a third point to it. I was sitting in another platform. I'm not speaking in my capacity of work, but I'm speaking in my personal capacity that I benefited from that platform. They were doing a report on taxation with regards to taxation of properties in the city councils. And going forward or further to that, they were talking to how cities are mobilizing resources or are generating resources from property. And that now would lead to government getting a lot of income from the taxes that is generated from the property that the councils are generating income from. You will find that number one, councils are not collecting revenue from those properties. Why? There are a lot of gaps.
There's so many gaps.
One answer that answered those gaps is ICT.
Technology.
Somebody mentioned a fundamental ICT practice that would answer to that. For example, the researchers were saying that between Malawi and Freetown, which is Sierra Leone, a country that was so broken with wars, we pay 3 to 8 times more
In terms of tax?
In terms of a cost of a council to come and value our property.
Yes.
Why? Because we have not added the technology aspect to it.
To make the price
GIS,
go. Yeah.
the GPS, the remote sensing, the using technology to identify structures and how structure is set up. I can sit in my office here and know that there is a structure in area 49 which is 10 stories and it demands a certain value of property rate that I must be collecting and also be emitting tax to government.
Yeah. Because of lack of technology, we have lost on collecting tax. So the government, yes, they might collect tax from other means, but they're failing because the systems where people are, where business is happening, they haven't been digitized in nature so that you'll be able to follow. I agree with that. And I think these are practical solutions. These are just you fixing these things before you now look at even exporting technology.
True.
You're looking at just fixing what is available, which is interesting. And I think people don't have these conversations because every time it's always about a politician, but also thinking about how can we take this out? But have we fixed ourselves?
And let me tell you, the opportunity we're losing is big. I would still say it.
Yeah,
It's huge. To the sense that you'd think about any problem or any gap. Do you know the solution to it is an opportunity for someone? So think about a lot of gaps that we are experiencing because of not embracing technology.
Yeah.
And we can't even position Malawi on the global platform.
Yeah.
You know, even I come from a strong background of church, as you are aware, and I didn't mention this explicitly in the beginning. You can imagine what COVID did, even to church, and for church to move to embrace technology, that saying that we can not stop meeting, but we are going to continue now using technology, having Zoom church sessions. It was a whole new notion.
It was a revolution.
Exactly.
Right? On its own, eh?
And there will be books coming. There are books that are coming because it was huge, it was big. And you look at the massive investments that the churches have invested to secure that they have got technology. The capacities that they have been building on the youngsters
so that
to be running around with cameras, securing that someone in Ntarire is still connected to a church service happening in Lilongwe.
Yeah.
You get the point. You are locked down at home. So these are huge opportunities that we are missing out.
There are so many things that we could have done. There are positions that people are still getting paid that are not necessary. That could have been cut, but not them being removed. Those will be given capacities to do other things.
They'll be given new capacities to do other things.
Yeah, so we would create,
to support the technology. And to live in the world of technology.
Yes. So we wouldn't spend a lot on fuel for people to travel, for things that can be done using technology. But anyway, while we're talking about technology, I know you've worked in this space of agriculture, livelihoods. You know, every time I think about Malawi, I think about Malawi as a consuming country, right? We just consume and we do less about exporting. It pains me because I think about things that we're always buying. So I'll give you a simple example. Every day if you go on Facebook, you find men and women mostly taking orders so that I can bring you shoes from China, taking orders so I can bring you things. So every day we're doing that. But we want to export. What should we do to transform our trade and be a country that can export? And I'll give you an example to this. We saw in the newspaper, Malawi failed to meet the demand of South Sudan.
Yes.
We have heard of stories that there are opportunities to send fresh vegetables to the UAE. What is it? Why are we failing to export?
In all of these things we're talking, McDonald, we don't want to blame government, but we're just putting them on the spotlight.
Yeah.
Because they hold the platform. They hold the space. So it's like they should be providing for the infrastructure that will catalyze whatsoever we want to do.
Yeah.
Coming now specifically to the trade question, and I'm glad when you're talking about taking orders, I'm putting on a Malawian produced something.
Suddenly,
that
I'm not.
and this was produced by me. Yes, we've got a tailoring shop. We've got a fashion designing shop, which my wife heads. At a household level, we've got a family enterprise, which my wife heads. We scored Peace Teach. I'm not advertising, but you can try us.
We'll make him pay for this. But
we are working on it. And when you invited me for this platform, I purposefully chose this because I was going to sell Malawi. So I'm going to talk about Malawi and then I should wear Malawi.
Yeah.
Still more, it will still talk to you because the textile was still importing. We are not producing it here. So even the string.
Yes.
Ulusi. We import.
Yeah.
Suddenly saw that I was reading an article just yesterday, and when I was sharing you to tell that I come in with a very strong background of trade, because there are some other laws that I didn't mention. I think in between IBDAP and Tilitonse, I worked with Land O'Lakes as a private sector development director into the ANSICA program. We are looking at some of the trade imbalances where they generate from they are system based, and I was reading an article out of interest but also work related to say that we're doing over 900 million US dollars of imports. That's 2020.
Wow.
We're importing 290 something. We're exporting 290 something. Our trade deficit was standing at 600 something million dollars, and we still have got an appetite to import more.
Yeah,
we saw it when there was this
the devaluation and the forex scarcity.
Shops like Game, they were having empty shelves. It was just speaking to your question.
Yeah,
a majority of their products are imported, not locally produced products. Meaning to say, because of the scarcity of forex, they were not able to import.
Yeah.
So there are lots of opportunities. Structurally, the country is a signatory to the new notion of African Continental Free Trade Area.
Yeah, the AFT something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as a country, and I'm glad to say this, even in the new regime, we have seen a number of infrastructure developments that speaks to that. The One Border Stop Center. It speaks to that. It speaks to that. That is big because it is going to feed into this. Because it is going to help you. You go on a border, you're going to transact everything that you are supposed to transact in Tanzania.
Yeah.
And then you do it in Deza, and then you get your products going into Tanzania, and the money credited to you. There are issues of taxation. Working backwards, doing a reverse engineering of a taxation that was predominantly believing in an economy. Because what I've learned in my rudimentary knowledge of economics is that Kamuzu, the first president of Malawi, built the economy around producing for itself and consuming for itself.
Which is a good one.
It was a good
one for that. And we needed to embrace that first and then we can now push the products out there.
Because you would see that during Kamuzu time, we were producing wheat, for example, that was being consumed by Blue Ribbon to produce bread for us.
For us, yes.
So he had developed an economy that did not worry for external factors.
Yes.
But now, in the dawn of democracy, which is good, we have adopted other things. Now we have subjected ourselves to external pressures, and we just have to grow within the external pressures. My answers are leaning towards governance because we cannot outdo governance.
Yeah.
We need to fix the software so that we can have the hardware. So governance is mostly software. It speaks to the processes and the systems that needs to change so that we can achieve the actual changes.
Yes.
So you will see that was working during that time. And what can we do now? We need to embrace these programs that government is doing. We need to maximize productivity. Now productivity should be speaking to issues like of standards. We need to embrace the Malawi Bureau of Standards, the new lab that we are building for the ISO, the one which has got the requirements of exports. We need to expedite that as a country and embrace it. We are 80 to 85% agriculture-based economy.
Crazy.
Our production levels are going down, are dwindling in terms of quantity. In terms of quantity. They are all going down. So we need to speak to these two factors. We need to speak to them. You know what? And what other thing that we're going to do? It is going to help us develop value chains that are going to give us products that we can produce with in country. For example, cotton. We can have cotton and produce textile, and that we can use within the context of our country. Number one. Number two, we should renegotiate the financing of investments in country. Investment financing is a huge thing. In this country. I talked to you in another platform to say that you know what, our commercial banks are not a source of investment financing. Because they are business oriented. They are not different from loan sharks. They are caterpillar in nature. I'm not attacking them.
They are loan sharks. Come on, I'm
not attacking them, but it is what it is.
They are loan sharks.
And the challenge that we have also is a governance challenge. Government is the biggest customer of the commercial banks. And they are borrowing quite a lot from the commercial banks.
There's a big exchange.
In other words, commercial banks are in the pockets. Government is in the pockets of the commercial banks. So they cannot regulate them. How are you going to regulate someone you owe? McDonald, I'm owing you 50 million. Can I tell you what to do?
No. I'll be like, okay, can you give me my money first?
Exactly.
And then we'll talk.
And then we'll negotiate. That's why all these fiscal microfinance policies that our friends, the economists, they have been telling us, they are nice, they are sweet, but they cannot work. Why? Because the sector that has been entrusted to support that is not working. Recently, you just shared with me to say that the World Bank giving money to banks not giving money to...
the finance project.
That's big. And now we are talking about these institutions like World Bank creating other avenues, other structures that we can use to take money to the small scales. For example, we've got now the vision funds. These are financial institutions that have just been created to secure that they are providing for investment financing, which is very key. But also just to speak that as a country we are derailed. We had an investment bank in the past, which we scrapped it off, and now we are just going back to that notion. We need to quickly go back to that. And the thirdly is the skills. We need to develop the prerequisite skills that we are going to feed into the products. And then we need to make the right public-private partnerships that now we can attract not just investors but people who will be part of the manufacturing and the production area that would meet the international standards for exports. But also we should learn economic models that have worked for other countries. Zambia has been doing quite a lot of concessions whereby the state is working with the private sector to build, operate, and to build and have the private sector operate. And then in the private sector, when it has reached that satisfactory levels, they can transfer it back to the government. We've got the bingo stadium, magnificent. But when you look at it, I know you go around to jog around that place. Are you happy with that structure? We are not being political. All the doors in the toilets are removed.
The toilets are even bad.
I have got interest to go and do my exercises at that facility. Why can't you put up a fee on the door that I should be paying and I get a ticket or I pay over a month? we properly manage that facility. We have a private sector company doing it.
Managing that.
And they should be remitting their returns to government.
Yeah.
Because that is a public investment. We should not be paying
it's a loan.
Yes.
We have to pay back.
That was my next point. We shouldn't be paying back the loan from our taxes.
No.
Rather,
it is supposed to pay.
Exactly.
It's supposed to generate the money and then we pay from there.
And create, finally, in terms of trade, we should create sweet policies that would attract companies that have got experience in productivity to come into Malawi. Zambia, during the Edgar Lungu regime, I read a lot about what is happening in countries from the governance and then going to the solutions. Made a actually, it started from the Michael Sata regime. They made a deliberate policy. When they were invited, the white farmers that were politically, we are not talking about chased from Zimbabwe,
yes.
They were inherited in Zambia. And they were given a space to farm. And you do not further what they do to that, what they did to that. Then they attracted them by putting up tax incentives. They were giving them 5 years tax holidays. And if you go to Lusaka today, and if you have been there before, you do know the difference. Because these guys, they have used the space of the tax holidays to invest in Lusaka, to build shopping malls. Where you are going to enter into, I will challenge you today. You are going to enter into a Manda Hill, which is a shopping mall in Lusaka, or Levy Junction, and you are going to go into a Pick and Pay, which has got over 60% of Zambian products, including the peanut butters, the crisps, the rays, and they are produced in Zambia. And these are the things that you are seeing them here also. But do you know that in Nchinji, they are buying in groundnuts from Nchinji, processing it in Zambia, and selling us peanut butter. Actually, this morning I had peanut butter. My son loves peanut butter. He calls them peanut butter sandwiches. And so we had peanut butter from Zambia, and it was so yummy. We had tomato puree from Zambia, and it's so yummy. How much tomato do we waste at Bembeke? If yesterday was the market,
you'll find a lot of
tomato there. Why don't we plant the first level processing plants in those strategic places? And most of these farmers are coming in difficult areas. I'm excited in the new compact of the Millennium Challenges grant. It's going more direct to people than channeling it to organizations. Also answering to the first question. You asked about resources coming to us but not reaching to people. This grant is going to infrastructure investment. They are building corridors that will enable trade. For example, they are building a road for Muchigwiri. They have done their study. They have realized that Muchigwiri can be a food basket for Lilongwe. So they are building a road so that the people should go there. And also they are looking at the other issues like cost of transport. So they are working with the entire chain of transport to secure that it is fixed and it is producing results and solutions.
Interesting. I know you are energetic about these issues.
Passionate about I want to have a change, Malawi. We're going to have it.
We will have a change, Malawi. Interesting. My last take around these issues, I want just to get your thoughts. I know you spoke about the IMF in between. It's about the debt economy. Yes. Malawi relies on debts for us to be able to sustain our budgets.
We are on 5 trillion borrowing domestically. Yes.
Right? But my assumption or my thought is that debt economy is not sustainable.
It's not.
How do you think we can transform? I know trade is a big thing there, but how do you think we can now transform into this whole mindset about debt? Because most of the times when debts are being collected by politicians because they want to win an election.
They are collected. Actually, most of these debts we are having, we got them through an act of parliament. The whole parliament approved, we gazetted. And
is there a possibility for this thing, for us to really cut these auxiliary cables that come and the politician will just wake up and say, today I'm going to build this infrastructure, and they get a loan for it, which will pay? What about this whole thing?
There is a huge opportunity. I couldn't wait for you to finish the question. Just to answer you that there is a huge opportunity. A huge opportunity in the sense to say that I would tell you that most of our borrowings, we borrow we've been borrowing for consumption. And what we have to do is we have to undergo a certain pain that we should accept.
Yeah.
So when we cut, we should undergo a certain pain. And once we undergo that pain, the results will ultimately come.
Yeah.
So my thoughts around it is, number one, that. Number two is also, and which is very key for me, is prioritization. Focusing of your development interventions.
Yeah.
I loved the way, not selling them, but the way this new government pitched their development approach. They did not abandon what the previous regime was doing. Literally, they adopted it into their development framework, and they have costed it. That we're going to resource it within the confinements of the tax we're collecting to Malawians. So having done that, it is very key. And then now we should prioritize on our investments as a country. We have recently signed a grant with the European Investment Bank. We are investing on our M1, 117 billion. But I'm looking at an amount that we can invest on our own.
Yeah.
We can inject 170 something billion, scatter it along the budgets, because it's not going to happen with one budget. We can do it with the first budget 50 something, second budget 50 something, another budget 50 something. I know construction projects, they do accumulate, they do gain value, they appreciate along the process. But surely with the proper planning, we can fund that. I'm not saying that loan is bad, but what I'm saying is that we would have replaced it with a practice that would have been ideal for our country, because still more with a loan, with the all 117 billion available, it's going to happen gradually. And the cost will definitely go up. Will not be the same cost. That's why those costs are paid in a foreign cost, so that we can keep
but the thing
the
is,
value of the price.
I want you to look at it.
Yes.
Maybe politicians aside, but we have so many debts as Malawi.
Yes,
and it's painful. Every time you know that when I'm buying my soap, I'm paying for a loan. That was taken during the Makili era.
Exactly.
When I'm paying for my fuel, some money is going to this. Is there a way that we can now be dealing with this?
McDonald, I think I missed the first part of my response to say that unfortunately. Fortunately, unfortunately, is that our solution lies within the confinements of politics.
Yeah,
because
sadly.
economies are managed by those who have got a political muscle. That's why they would fight so much to win politicians, to win politics, so that they can control the economy. These two, they are inseparable. You can't separate politics from the economy, because they speak to one another. The solution lies from a actually the solution is a political solution. That's why I did mention about Kamuzu Banda's regime, to say that he had made a political economy solution that we are going to produce for Malawi and feed Malawi and the surplus export it. That's why he was so intentional in his development policies. We're going to use tobacco for export. We're not going to be smoking it. We'll be exporting it. But we are going to use the rest of the products, process it and use it in Malawi.
Internally,
we were using our own rice. We had no oil, remember? Produce our own rice and eat our own rice. We would eat broken rice for breakfast, and we would have proper rice for lunch and dinner. I would also tell you that we had modeled things that were even perceived as healthy things. We would eat jigumos, baradas. Who would complain then that the bread is expensive? We were baking our own bread because we were producing for ourselves. And you know where it was? It was in our mind. That we make chigumu for breakfast. It was
automatic. It was automatic.
So that's why the first response about mindset change is cutting across many responses that we're going to keep going forward. So the modeling of our economy, it attaches to the politics. So unfortunately, debt is a decision of politicians. They are discussed in parliament. And we should find a way of checking these parliamentarians.
We should find a way. I feel like
they should not just approve any other debt.
I feel like debt at a certain level should maybe a referendum or whatever. Because these things, they impact our children. They will impact our children, that their children.
They are impacting first on us.
Hey.
Now it's gonna be passed on to our children, and then it's gonna go to our children or our children's. So, but the point is, there are a lot of opportunities within. So basically, it goes back to the issues of maximization of productivity.
Yeah.
Lilongwe, from an argument perspective,
Yeah.
is a full basket for Malawi.
Yeah.
That we should know. But do you know that a lot of its arable land has been sold out to plots where people are building houses? No, that's why you see now the politics coming in. There is a mismatch within our development policies and what is happening on the ground. And you know what will happen now? We're going to be borrowing so that we can buy maize to feed the people of the country. Where the solution, where would have crabbed it down on borrowing, it was there. And we are letting go this land. That's why we need to change of our laws. The most of our laws about customer land. Otherwise, that whole area when we are buying plots, and I'm a victim, I've bought plots there.
Yeah.
It was meant for productivity.
Productivity. It means that productivity will go down to Nchinji, right?
Exactly.
So the whole longer will just be a residential.
We are pushing productivity outside of the capital. And it is an impact of urbanization that we want to propagate. We should move forward because it's a pillar in the Malawi 2063.
Interesting.
Number one. Number two, we should also think of how can we indigenously develop our own solutions to our challenges. I was interested that Malawi government lays the bond for the Bingu Highway and the interchange. That road was funded internally.
Oh, yeah,
by
internally,
a bond,
by a
NBS bank bond. That is, look into the money market. Look into the money market. The money market offers a lot of opportunities. The sixth way that the president launched, it's an internal bond. They have raised, I think, a standard bank bond internally. So these are things that we should look into and build around. Thank you.
Amazing. So much to talk about. So much to talk about.
We need a day for this.
We sure need a day for this. But okay, this is my thought. I think my thought as we're getting to close this, and I'll give you time to talk about your thoughts as well around this whole conversation. In Malawi, there are people that have the ideas. Malawi has worked on different policies and keeps on doing that. But Malawi is a dysfunctional state. From, and the president has been saying it. He was saying that, I think, this week. He was saying that.
That's why he has been just making structural changes.
Yes, it's like, okay, Malawi is just dysfunctional. I'm trying to change as many things as possible, right? So that's his perspective. But for me, I feel like if you go down to someone who's a recipient of development on the ground, who's unable maybe to be productive, to someone who can produce small scale, to someone who goes up there to be maybe middleman and supplies to a community, to people that are now big in the district, to people that are in the region, to people that are supplying countrywide, and people that are exporting. There is a mismatch of what we're supposed to do as a country. There is a mismatch to how we can now create this value from there, going up there, and that creates a dysfunctional state where we don't have those kind of conversations and understanding that we are building together. Everyone is building on their own. Different entities are building on their own and creates chaos in the whole state, right? We need unity and building the value that we want to have. We need unity to build from that level. And I believe there's so much that Malawi has. There's so many young people, so many old people with ideas, and so many people that are ready to do things. But there's so many problems. I would share a bit, even in terms of adopting new technologies.
Yes.
There's so many opportunities, for instance, with blockchain, with issues to do with supply chain.
Yes.
That would be improved, things will change. But how can you do those projects at scale when it's just sitting with young people in their computers and they can't take it anywhere because the systems would portray that they will support them, but when they go there, it doesn't work in that kind of way. But also sometimes the young people go there to be supported because they're just looking for money or a job, not necessarily the passion for that transformation. So many things. I just wanted to put this across. But let me give you the final words. What do you think now? To summarize all the things you've said, what do you think should be the direction for Malawi in terms of development and changing the narrative of our country?
Number one, I'll talk about what you've just talked to, because it is also my perspective.
Yeah.
In my discussion with you, remember I talked about decentralization.
Yes.
But let's not think about it as a term. Let's think about what it does and take that and utilize it within our space of development.
Yes.
That's what is going to bring from what a typical villager can do, aggregated, then at the area level, then at a district, then at a national level. That is what is going to give us an approach of doing an reverse engineering of what went wrong, and fixing the gaps and providing for development. This we must do. Whether we call it what, but the narrative that is built around decentralization should be done. Because one other key aspect, even that will be very relevant for technology, is that there are a lot of wastages in government. Our problem is not that we don't have resources. Our problem is that the resources are abused or are wasted in government. The president agrees to this. Donors, everyone agrees to this. You should think about it over a normal procurement process. That is, sometimes you would want to procure something that indeed you can just use 100 million to have that thing done. But the prices, for example, will be brought and that thing will be procured at 700 million. The 600 million will go to one person. It will not go to the system.
Yes.
While when this 100 million went back to a company, it is going to pay people and it is going to go back into the circulation and increase the buying power.
Yeah.
You get the point? So we need to embrace technology at government level. Even when this new administration came in, you know what they said? They said, no, even our emails, we should stop Gmails. What have we done with that one? They should embrace. We had the whole project funded by World Bank for that. And they invested a lot for us to have a government domain. To have McDonald.nyoni at the government, maybe at trade.government.mw. At the local government, LGM.m. We invested quite a lot. Because what we want, if McDonald decides to leave public service, the information, the communication should be there.
But people live with things.
They go with it. It's his Gmail account. It's his Gmail account. If you follow global politics, you will find that Hillary Clinton was voted for the emails. Because of the emails. They were supposed to go to the government email. We should embrace. There is this whole notion of e-procurement. Do you know that if I submit a tender to government now, how much I spent? I'll tell you, because I'm into that space.
There's a lot for printing and all that.
If I'm bidding for a government tender, I have to buy a document at 20,000.
Yes.
I have to, even if the project is in Blanta, I'm in Lirongo. If there is a required pre-site visit,
yes,
I need to spend close to 100,000.
You go there.
To go there, sleep, and come back, I'm already at 120. Printing alone can consume 400,000. If I'm submitting a bid that sometimes they'll just squash it and put it in a bin, I'm already spending over 500,000.
It's crazy.
Look at that. There is wastage of this money that is now going into a space that if it was coordinated, it would have helped. In procurement, it means I get the bid online, I submit online, I spend on nothing. It removes on corruption because you're dealing with the system. People are just checking it.
Yes.
It removes the issues of transparency from 50 to 100 or 99%.
True.
And we are removing the wastages. And I'm thinking and asking myself, why are they delaying to act on these reforms. Because immediately that technology will be speaking to MRI. It will tell MRI how much business I've made. I will not need to go to MRI to calculate taxes. They already calculate, and even in the procuring agency, can already deduct tax from the source. And maximize on the collections. That is as simple as it is.
Man, you have so many ideas. We need part 2 of this.
Surely we need to bring in a new perspective of how we can be thinking. I think the part 2, if you can focus on the things that we should be building on, and the structures that we should be creating, and how and what we are doing ourselves to contribute in the same space. Because there are also things that we are doing to contribute in the same space.
There are things people are doing,
even if it's a drop in the ocean. But we are changing somebody's life.
And that's why I believe platforms
bringing in impact.
Platforms now comes in handy to help these little activities that we have, these pockets of activities to scale. And that scale is the one that will define Malawi's position. And when Malawi's position is defined, that's when we can now say, okay, fine, Malawi is doing A, B, C, D as a country, and not just a few individuals who are making it, and then it's out of corruption and stuff. Interesting, man. It was great having you to this podcast. It's my first podcast talk about development. I think so. But I've made it a point because I want to have this conversation with different people in different spaces so that we can look at how we can develop Malawi, Africa as a whole. It's about the black economy. It's very important to talk about this because there's so much happening and there's so much poverty that we have endured. And
we need to harness it. When we're talking about trade, there was another point I needed to tell you that, do you know that the signatories to the ACT, the African Free Trade Continental Area, the signatories to that space alone, they sit on the 2 trillion GDP.
It's crazy.
We need to harness that.
Yeah, it's a network. It's a network that would work together. Continent, Africa.
So that's why we need to support government when they are building on these structures that are going to sink in what is happening to Zambia, Tanzania. So that when I want to trade with oilseeds products in Tanzania, I should transact from my laptop. And then the next thing I should be seeing a notification of a credit alert from the Reserve Bank pending delivery.
Interesting. Anyway, that was it for the day. Had Amakhosi Jere, an exciting guy, always having great ideas. I look forward to what he's going to be doing. He has so many things happening under his belt, and looking forward to seeing what he's going to do next or what he's doing right now. But from me, Matt Donald, see you on the next one.